Okay. And as you should be able to see, we've also just started recording. We're going to record this session. We should have the recording available in a couple days. So if interested in receiving a copy of the recording, please don't hesitate to reach out to either myself or Roslyn. Or if you know of someone that might be interested in the session that also just didn't have the chance to attend, they can reach out directly to us to receive a copy of the recording. So we'll go ahead and just get started in the interest of time. I don't think we'll take the full 30 minutes. I think a majority of folks on the call have been through our Community Impact Fund process before. So we're kicking it off with our letters of intent. I'll just ask if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat as we go. We'll try to monitor and make sure we get those answered. If you have anything specific to your organization, I just ask that you reach out to us afterwards so we can have a conversation about that, just kind of one-on-one. So we will go ahead and just get started with our team. I think most of you know our team. So we won't go too intently into introductions, but we have Allie Willett, who is actually out on maternity leave. She had her baby just a couple weeks ago, so we're super excited. She will be back after the new year. So we're excited for her. And she oversees our kind of youth opportunity financial security buckets. So for those of you that need to reach out with any questions where Allie might be your primary contact, don't hesitate to come to me. We'll make sure we get you taken care of. And then I'll have Roslyn, if you could give a little wave. Roslyn Garrett is our other investment manager. She will be kind of co-leading the process and this letter of intent training with me. So after we do just these brief introductions, I'm going to kick it over to her to kind of walk you through the process. But she oversees our healthy community and community resiliency bucket. So I'm sure many of you on the call know Roslyn. And then myself, Meg Blue, I'm our Vice President of Community Investments. This is I've been at United Way a little over 3.5 years now, and so this will be my third investment process with the Community Impact Fund. So excited to be kicking off another one and to be able to be working with all of you. So with that said, I'm going to stop chatting for a little bit. I'm going to turn it over to Roslyn to talk through timeline, and then Roslyn, when you're kind of ready to wrap that up, let me know, and I will do a Wise Hive demonstration.
Okay, good morning, everybody. As Meg said, I'm Roslyn Garrett. I've been here for about 6 months now, so this is actually my first time through this cycle, so I'm very excited and also anxious to see how it all turns out. So today we're doing the LOI presentation training / session for you all, so that's where we are in the timeline right now. Beginning October 1st, the LOIs will go live in Wise Hive, and then you'll have from October 1st to October 31st to submit your letter of intent. Due diligence meetings will be scheduled between November 17th and December 19th. Applications will then go live on January 8th, and then you'll have through January 30th to get those submitted. We'll have community and staff review period between February 2nd and May 29th, and then the announcement of award proposals June 2026, and then those payments will start beginning July 2026. So just a few tips when submitting your LOI. Agencies can only apply for one new program. So that is one program that has not been previously funded by United Way. Returning programs can request $25,000 or more. You may request $25,000 or less for new programs. And we anticipate that most grant rewards will be between $50,000 and $75,000. So when you're completing your LOI, these are just a few little tips that we like to give you all when you go through this process. So of course you want to report on the who, what, when, where, why, and how of your program. And again, this needs to be program specific for the one that you're applying for and not agency specific. Very critical that you talk about the nature of the services that that program will provide. And then keep in mind that those folks reviewing your letter of intent are going to be community folks. So basically, when you're creating that content, you want to keep that in mind. So maybe try to avoid a lot of acronyms, avoid a lot of technical or clinical verbiage, and just be very direct, very straightforward when you're doing your letter of intent, keeping in mind to speak as if you're talking to somebody who has no idea what your program does. And then Meg will do our demonstration.
Yeah, so as I get this pulled up, I do just want to share a couple things that Rosalind mentioned. So some new things to the process. One new thing to mention is just that I think last time we ran the Impact Fund, new programs could request a straight request of 25,000. So we took feedback from both organizations and from our volunteers who reviewed your applications and wanted to open that up a little bit more for folks. So new programs can apply for $25,000 or less. Really trying to speak to if it's maybe a startup program um, or something like that. So that is one new piece to the process that we're implementing. Um, and then Rosalind mentioned most grant agreements will fall between that 50 and 75,000. We anticipate that most of our investments will fall in there. Obviously, I do want to highlight that there will be obviously some outliers, so some will fall below, some will be above that. And those are things that we can talk through in your due diligence meeting if you submit a letter of intent to really see what makes the most sense for planning for your budget, and just think keeping that in mind going forward. So just some pieces I wanted to highlight, but I'll go ahead and walk you through the Wise Hive system. So this, for those of you that have applied with us in our last cycle, this is the same system that we used then. We got a lot of good feedback about this compared to our older system. So excited to be doing this again. So you will receive the link to be able to get in and submit your letter of intent is on our website. That For Nonprofits page, which Rosalind, if you could post the link to the For Nonprofits page in the chat so everybody can have access to that. Um, you'll have access to the RFP, the letter of intent guide, as well as the link to go ahead and go in and either create your profile if you haven't done so before, or just go in and start your letter of intent if you have a profile with us. So this is my test agency, as you can see. So you'll go in, if you have a profile already, you can go in and edit it if there's changes. If you don't, the first thing you'll be prompted to do is go in and create that profile. So you have to have a profile to be able to create that letter of intent. So you'll go in, and for those of you that haven't started a letter of intent, it will say add another. You'll just click on that. I've started one, so you'll see here it's blue, which means it is in progress. Um, so you will just click in there and it will pull up my test agency. So you'll see right here, since it is in progress, it will say open. So you'll click on that, and no changes to the letter of intent from the last time any returners would have submitted. So a lot of information will pull directly from your profile, so you don't have to go in and submit it twice. So again, that's the importance of making sure that your profile is up to date. But as you can see, your agency, year established, mission statement, and so on will all pull. I will say definitely make sure your primary contact is up to date in here so we know exactly who to reach out to if we have questions. And then just some basics. So we have drop downs, making sure that we're applying for the right fund, filling in your program name and your primary funding area. So if you really fall under those those basic needs, education, financial stability pieces, how many clients you anticipate serving in the program, the amount you are requesting, your total program budget. And then we have an auto calculation down here because you should not be requesting more than 50% of your total program budget. So just please make sure that when you're making your request, you're looking at that budget and ensuring that you're requesting less than 50%. And then an explanation of the program for your requesting funds for. Again, to Rosalind's point, really making sure that we're being concise here so that our team has a full understanding of what your program is doing and who it's reaching. Basic, how the majority of your funds will be used, letting us know if you've received funding from us from other funds in the past. And then I think a very important piece in here is just making sure that you fill in who we need to contact to have a due diligence meeting with. I'll just emphasize that not every letter of intent or program will be required to have a due diligence meeting. Due diligence meetings are really set for us to get further information to help us decide whether or not a program will move forward with an application. So if you write a very clear letter of intent and we don't have any questions and we feel like this is a great fit for United Way funding, you will move right ahead and not need a due diligence meeting. You'll be informed of that, so that way you're not kind of sitting there waiting to make sure you receive one or not. If you submit for a program that maybe doesn't fall under United Way service categories or doesn't necessarily make sense to funding, and we don't think a due diligence meeting will help us sway either way, a due diligence meeting will not be requested. So these meetings are really for those where we just need to gain a little bit more information before we move forward with an application. So what you will do, you can save at any time. You have a month to work on these, so feel free to take your time and save and come back to it. Once you're done, you can mark complete, but it is important to note that once you mark it complete, you do have to go back. And if it's all the way done, you need to hit submit in this upper right-hand corner. If you mark it complete and do not hit submit, we won't see it. It will not be done. So I think that is everything as it relates specifically to WiseHive. So I'm going to go ahead and reshare the PowerPoint and turn it back over to Roslyn. 1 second.
So again, next steps in the process will be, again, those letter of intent will open in WiseHive on October 1st, again, with a due date of October 31st. And Meg went into great detail about the due diligence meetings, so you may or may not be required to do one of those. And then we will have communication go out to everyone regarding the status of your LOI. So that would be whether it was accepted or whether it was declined. Any questions, Meg? I think there's one in the chat that I did not address from Dana about location requirements.
Yes. Yeah, so location requirements, just reading it through. Dana asked, is there a location requirement for nonprofits who are applying? Yes, we have to be in the Omaha metro. So we specifically work with programs that are providing services in Douglas, Sarpy, and Pottawatomie counties. So those are the 3 counties. It looks like Roslyn answered Debbie's question about what we meant by new programs. New just means new to United Way funding. Could be a program that is within existence at your organization and has been for a while, just new to our funds. Lisa did ask about sending out the slide deck. Yes, absolutely. Please just reach out to us and we will send you a copy of the recording and the slide deck. And then, like I said, that For Nonprofits page that Roslyn put in the chat is a huge resource. It has the timeline on there, as well as information just about the RFP, how to get logged into the system, and the LOI guide as well. So any other questions
There
before
is
we jump off?
one
Mhm.
from Erica that says, sorry, came in late, something about 25,000 that she missed.
Yep, absolutely. So if you are a program that has not been funded by United Way before and you're applying, you can apply for $25,000 or less for your program. If you're a program that has received United Way funding before, you can apply for $25,000 or more. Okay. Well, we looks like we got one more in here. When will LOI notifications go out and when is the deadline? LOIs we will open on October 1st. You have until October 31st at 5 p.m. to get your letters of intent in. And then we will start making notifications about whether due diligence meetings are needed or not in mid-October. So our team will have a couple weeks to review, and then we'll start making notifications about those due diligence meetings. Due diligence meetings will wrap up before the holidays. So every organization and program will know before the holidays whether they are being invited to move forward to apply or not. And again, the full timeline is both in the PowerPoint that you can reach out to receive and on the website that Roslyn linked in the chat. Limit to how many programs you'll be able to see in the training recording and in the LOI PowerPoint guide that if you are a returning organization, you can apply for one new program. And then new organizations can also just apply for that one. So if you're an organization that has received funding for multiple of your programs, you can apply for all of those and you have the opportunity to submit for one new one. Um, and then again, if you are a new organization, you can submit for one. Um, so I believe that should cover all of the questions. So really just depends, have you been funded for multiple programs in the past? Um, and then, yeah, again, if you've got anything specific, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Um, and I think Roslyn, did I miss anything? You and Allie were really the ones that worked on this, so I'm coming in last minute.
No, I think that's all of it.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, perfect. Again, reach out to Roslyn or myself. The recording should be available in a couple days. We'll send it over to our team right now to get it in a YouTube link. And yeah, we're super excited to be kicking off another cycle with all of you. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk to all of you very soon. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah.